Good blessed Sunday, June the 16th, 2024. It's about 12:30 p.m. in the afternoon. I greet all human beings all around the world with the universal greetings of peace and the blessings of God be with you. Doesn't matter what your political, philosophical, personal, nor your religious beliefs may be. Doesn't matter whether you're the richest or the poorest person on the face of this earth. It doesn't matter whether you the proclaim toughest or the proclaim weakest person on the face of this earth. Doesn't matter if you're my family, friends, nor my proclaimed enemy. It doesn't matter whether you like me or anything that I say or do. That's your prerogative. You have a First Amendment to the United States Constitution. Freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom to protest, freedom to gather, freedom to associate. Like I always say in my YouTubes, so you won't say Raymond Lewis Ivy said we can do this here. But if you're on probation or parole, check with your local law enforcement officials or your laws or your probation officer or parole officer. See if you can associate with other individuals that's on probation and parole. But what I want to show today is this is justice for my son, Brian Lamont Johns, who was found hung, lynched in Carbondale, Illinois on Friday, March the 19th, 2021. Me and my two daughters, youngest daughters, we have been going down to Carbondale for the last 3 years, addressing the Carbondale City Council, the members, the mayor, the chief of police, the prosecuting attorney, and because they ruled my son's death as a suicide, they had the Illinois State Police, after I kept protesting about it, or me and my two young daughters protesting about it, they had the Illinois State Police just to examine the belt and his fingernails. They didn't let him examine the whole thing, and they wouldn't examine the whole thing because of the fact that the Carbondale police and their pathologists that they got in the Carbondale, Illinois, or Murphyboro, Illinois, Jackson County prosecuting attorney ruled it a suicide solely because they claim my son said he wanted to commit suicide. But there's red flags all over the place with the whole thing with my son's death. Just like the one I'm going to show you from a white female by the name of Molly Young, who was found shot and killed in an apartment in Carbondale, Illinois, I believe in 2012, 12 years ago, in the apartment of a dispatcher who was a dispatcher then for the Carbondale, Illinois Police Department, and his father was I believe a sheriff deputy at the Franklin County Sheriff Department in Southern Illinois. But anyway, they did rule her as a suicide. She was shot in the head with a .40 caliber gun in a bed that an individual that was a Carbondale, Illinois Police Department dispatcher, which was her boyfriend, laying right next to her. And he said he didn't hear the shot. They said the same thing like my son that said he was talking about suicide. They said she was talking about suicide. The gun was found in the bed. The gun was by her non-dominant hand, and they had some pills by her other hand, as if the guy that called saying that her nose was bleeding, something to that effect. And he didn't see the shot from a .40 caliber gun, but he said that she might have OD'd off these pills. But anyway, they ruled it a suicide or undetermined death. But now, ever since 2012, her case got publicity from senators, representatives, from the chief of police, from the newly elected prosecuting attorney. And now, 12 years later, the prosecuting attorney is asking the Illinois State Appellate Court to take it out of their hands and bring it back to him because he want to investigate. See, they didn't give my son case didn't even get in the newspaper. My son's case never got on the news. I talked to the news media. They didn't want to talk about it. I talked to the newspaper, the Southern Illinois newspaper. None of them wouldn't talk to me. The only coverage my son got is me and my 2 daughters and a few other people in Carbondale and my YouTube channel. Just like y'all finna ask him to open up Molly's, it's red flags all over the place with my son's case. I'm asking you to do the same thing. Just because we don't have money, you see what I'm saying? Don't let me get into the race card, because this is not the first case that the Carbondale, Illinois prosecuting attorney, they pathologist, and their police department said it was a suicide. Look up the Praveen case, an Indian who was found in the woods. They claim he stumbled in the woods and he was drunk and he died of hypothermia. 4 years later, the Praveen family had money too. They was from Morton Grove, Illinois. He was a student just like, I believe, Molly in Southern Illinois. And 4 years later, they got a white guy, convicted him of robbery and murder, but the judge overturned his case, saying on a technicality, they saying he knowingly killed this lady. That's in the appellate court. My sons didn't go nowhere because he was homeless and he was on drugs, and it had to be because he black. Give me and my son and my 2 youngest daughters the same thing that you giving Molly. May she rest in peace. May she get justice. Give us the same thing. Peace be still.
I never dreamt it would take 12 years.
Renewed hope tonight in a Southern Illinois cold case, a story that continues to captivate the heartland. It's been 12 years since Molly Young was found dead in her ex-boyfriend's apartment in Carbondale.
Now Young's family and supporters believe they are closer than ever before to the truth. Crystal Britt has more in this First Alert investigation.
It would have been a lot harder.
Larry Young says his faith is what's gotten him through these past 12 years. That and those who've stood by his side, waiting for answers.
Well, justice is a slow process. It's a lot slower than I'd like it to be, for sure.
On March 24th, 2012, 21-year-old Molly Young was found dead inside her ex-boyfriend Richie Minton's apartment in Carbondale. Was it suicide, homicide, or something else? To this day, many questions remain.
My thought process was to get it on track as if we just got the case in brand new.
It's been a journey getting this case back to Jackson County.
So I filed a motion to vacate the order which recused my office of the case, thereby bringing the case back to the jurisdiction of my office.
The state appellate prosecutor's office took over this case in 2013, but later concluded there wasn't enough evidence to charge anyone with murder. Larry Young calls that one of the biggest disappointments.
Appellate prosecutor sitting on the case for 10 years, leaving it open for further evidence to surface and not getting expert opinions or interviewing people further.
State's Attorney Joe Cervantes says that's what he's doing now, seeking fresh opinions.
I think that we owe the family and the public at least another opinion that's outside of our chain of command, so to speak, outside of the Jackson County State's Attorney's Office and the Appellate Prosecutor's Office, but not that of a lay opinion, that of an expert opinion, and that's what we're doing.
Back to March of 2012, Molly Young had journaled and sent messages about wanting to end her life. At the scene where she died, a lot of things don't make sense to the family, like how the gunshot wound was on the top left side of Molly's head. She was right-handed. The gunshot from a .45 didn't wake up the ex-boyfriend. The lack of gunshot residue on Molly's hands, the 911 call hours after she died from the ex, saying that she died of an overdose.
Is she not breathing at all?
No, I woke up and she's covered in blood. She's overdosed. She bled out through the nose.
And a coroner's inquest where the manner of death was undetermined due to a lack of evidence. There are several other questions that remain, which is why a new investigator stepped in to help. Do you feel like there's been an injustice to this family?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't be involved.
if I didn't.
Retired homicide commander Tim Corbett from South Bend, Indiana, is working at no charge as a consultant on this case. What have you been able to accomplish?
I've been able to talk to people that weren't talked to in the past. I've talked to people that have been talked to, re-interviewed them, looked over the evidence, looked over everything that I had available to me to be able to make, informed decisions on what route I needed to go.
April 15th would have been Molly's 34th birthday. Larry Young can't help but think about what might have been.
Just so many things that you miss. As each day you might see something. And it reminds you of her.
And while the journey's been long and often disappointing, he reflects on the positives.
The biggest victory is Molly's Law. And the governor came to Carbondale to sign it into law, and it passed unanimous in the House and Senate.
Something that strengthened the Illinois Freedom of Information Act and extended the time a victim's family can file a wrongful death lawsuit. As for the next step,
do you see this going to grand jury or to trial anytime soon?
I think ultimately cases, death investigations, cases like this, all need to have a resolution for the sake of the victim's family. I don't think there's any questions about that. So it's my intent to have a resolution to this case one way or the other before the end of my term or my next term, if I'm blessed.
I definitely have hope. More hope than I ever had in the last 10 years.
Giving Molly's family more peace as they wait for that resolution. Crystal Britt, Heartland News.
Now, to see more of the stories we've covered on the Molly Young case, including the I-Team reports Crystal did in the early days, check out her stories for those links at KFES 12.
I'm from Charleston, Missouri, and I'm here with my dad seeking justice for my brother, Brian Lamont Johns, who was found hung here in Carbondale in the Gaslight Apartments. And I'm one of many people that is helping him with this independent investigation that we have going on for him. And my dad requested some things from the Carbondale Police Department. It's a list 1 through 7. It's dated June the 2nd, 2022. And number 7 struck my attention and is concerning a white lady who works at the Carbondale Rebound High School. And she was caught on camera spending my brother's food stamps 39 days after he was found hung. And it reads, information regarding recorded interview done of the female suspect pertaining to the use of Brian Johns' SNAP benefits. And their response was, this item is denied. The suspect was interviewed at a location outside of the Carbondale Police Department, but there was no recording of the interview done. And I was just curious on how is it a professional death investigation if they interviewed her outside of the Carbondale Police Department and they don't have the interview recorded or anything. And I feel as though that is racially motivated because her husband, which is black, was caught doing the same thing on camera that she was doing, spending my brother's food stamps 39 days after he was found hung. And they interviewed him at the Carbondale Police Department, and they have the interview recorded on audio and video. And I was just wondering if y'all could open his case back up and find an independent investigator outside of the Carbondale Police Department.
Wait till you get to the mic, please.
Oh, I apologize. My name is Raymond Lewis Ivy. I come today again. This will be almost 2 years concerning my son, Brian Lamont Johns, which you all know that was found hung March the 19th, 2021 in Carbondale. And I got a letter from the chief of police, San Reno, which I appreciated. And the letter was dated December the 27th, 2022, and he said he was responding to some comments me and my then 16-year-old daughter made here on December the 13th, 2022. And the city manager, he sent a copy to the city manager, Mr. Gary Williams, and the mayor, Ms. Carolyn Harvey, which you all, I'm sure, got the letter. But what my reason for here tonight is to ask San Reno in the Carbondale Police Department
can my son get the same treatment that lovely Praveen got? You know, she come down every year. In the beginning, when her son was found in the woods, they declared it that he went in there, stumbling in there, and he was drunk or whatever. He was drinking. And at the time, Stan Reno was the assistant chief, I believe, and he made a statement in the newspaper that there was no foul play. But lovely Praveen and her family had money where they got an autopsy, and they showed that that wasn't true. And a guy 4 years later was tried and convicted, even though the judge threw it out on a technicality. But I'm asking Stan Reno in the Carbondale City Council, I'm asking y'all to give my son that same chance. See, lovely, when she come down, the chief of police, the prosecuting attorney, they get in front of the news. My son's case has never, only reason there was an investigation because my YouTube video. Give me that chance to have a news press conference with the chief of police saying if he had an investigator go look into a lead, that mean that if they don't really believe it was suicide, if you look into a lead, give me the same opportunity, because my son can't speak, to go with Stan Reno in front of the news, because you all control the news. Go in front of the news and have a news press. If anybody in the city of Carbondale or any place else have any information on the death of Brian Lamont Johns, to come forward. If you're scared to give it to the police, give it to the FBI or the Illinois State Police. Also, I'm asking them to look at the female Brittany who claims she found my son T-shirts, the axe in the mask. Look in that apartment where the Indians called. My son had a gash in his hand. The blood had to be somewhere else because it's only a couple of drops. It's not too late. The Indians unmoved. Brittany left out. She was the only two people in that thing that the women's shelter put in there because she was on drugs and she was dealing with drug dealers. I ask y'all, don't let my son's life go in vain just because he was homeless. And I appreciate y'all. If I ever came here and talked with y'all and y'all thought I was disrespectful, I ain't being disrespectful. I don't know if y'all ever lost a son, but that's the reason why I come to where I am. And I asked for a news press conference. Me and the chief, just like they support him, just like they support Michael Vallet. He was a suspect in my son's case. Now he's working for Carbondale United as a...
Good blessed afternoon to everybody. Today is January the 29th, 2023, and it's 2:22 p.m. My name is Bertie Maybe II, named after my dad's mom. May she rest in peace. And I'm the granddaughter of a World War II veteran, Johnny A. Ivy Sr., may he rest in peace, and the daughter of a powerful black single father, Raymond Ivy, who is a civil rights activist and an NAACP member, as well as me and my sister. And I just want the world to pay attention to Derek Johnson, who is the NAACP national president, and how he's speaking on all these national TV stations and news stations about the death of Tyree Nichols, but never once spoke about my brother, Brian Lamont Johns, who was lynched in Carbondale, Illinois on March 19th of 2021. And I just want to say that it hurts me and my dad and my sister that we are the only three openly speaking about my brother's case that was never mentioned on any of the news stations or any newspaper or anything like that. And I just want to say justice for my brother, Brian Lamont Johns. Peace be still.
my type of work, y'all. Saving lives.